Today we saw the first game of our NC World Masters of the Sparkassen Chess Trophy 2022, and our opening game was Michael Adams against Daniel Fridman here in Dortmund. And I'm here with Michael Adams. Congratulations on your first game, Michael.
Thank you, yeah.
Nice win against Daniel Fridman. We are especially curious about the opening in no castling chess. So what were your thoughts when you played this first e4 and Spanish game?
Well, I saw they were playing c4 quite a lot, but I just wanted to try something a bit different. But yeah, I didn't really have big preparation. e5, I thought, okay, Italian, Roy Lopez, it should all be quite good. But then actually didn't go so great first few moves. So okay, we actually played Berlin, because so we played like this, d3, bishop c5, and I played this bishop e3 because I thought this was quite clever, because I thought if he takes, then maybe then I can put like king on d2 or f2 later. Okay. I've got some nice squares to move the king to. But this queen e7 was a very good response, actually. I didn't, he didn't actually capture, he played the queen e7 instead. And suddenly, actually, I realized that black has like some threats, maybe knight g4 even, or takes and queen b4, so it was a bit... So then, well, I had to do some swapping, which was not exactly what I wanted to do, but I think I had to just swap some pieces to stop some accident happening. So I don't know, so I took on c6. I mean, if I took a bit earlier, I could force him to take with the other pawn, but now of course, he has the idea to play d5, so then I thought I have to swap bishops, because otherwise he takes and plays d5. So I took the bishop, queen d2. I think it's normal. Okay. Normal move, just because then if d5, I always have some queen c3 ideas here, and he has lots of weak pawns.
So to exchange queens and have
some nice advantage. So he went d6. I think is normal. Next few moves are fairly quiet. I mean, it's still kind of. Well, it's a much more interesting position in no castling chess than in normal chess, actually, because normal chess is just very easy for us to solve a problem with the king. But actually here it's much trickier because, well, okay, he can't really go to the queen side, so probably he wants to take to the king side. I can sort of go either side, but whichever way we go, it sort of takes a long time.
But now you decided to put your rook to d1?
Yeah, rook d1. I don't know if that was a good move. I thought my plan is to play d4 at some moment, so it seemed logical to support that.
So you had in mind that your king could go to g1?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of go f1, g1, h2. It takes a very long time, but it's a very good square if I get there, but it's like 3 moves. Yeah. And I mean, I could also maybe try even d1, c1, b2, but again, it's 3 moves. I was like, I don't know, I was a bit reluctant to do it. And then actually when I was thinking here, I was thinking maybe he would go king e7 and rook h8. And then he went with this king f8 instead, which is also quite logical. So he would do a similar plan to me. He would take the king to h7. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, I have this clever idea. I can gain some time with this king e2, and I go rook h1,
and then king
f1. Yeah. And okay, if he went king g8, I think then actually, rook h1 is quite nice for white, but he actually played a very clever move. I think this queen a5 was very clever. Because okay, if I play like, let's say rook h1, c5, well, then I thought we would have quite a quiet game anyway.
Okay, so the idea of queen a5 was to prepare c5?
Yeah, because I thought it's just going to get so blocked, and maybe he would even play g5 as well, and the whole board I thought it was going to be quite boring, so I wasn't really sure about this d4, but I thought I would try it as it's kind of a different event. This no castling, I thought is maybe
nice for us spectators.
bit interesting. But I understood it's quite dangerous because at the moment this bishop on e6 is not very good. But after ed4, when knight d4 was my first intention, of course. But then I was very worried about this bishop c8 move.
To come to a6.
And it's just quite tricky, because now it's not so easy for my king. Because if I play a move like, let's say, rook h1, he can go c5 first. I can't go knight c6 because of queen a6 and knight f3 back. Well, then bishop a6, I have to go like king e3. Okay, I mean, I'm not even sure this is necessarily so clear, but okay, I was not so keen to have my king on e3. I was like, this is a bit awkward. So, I mean, okay, maybe the best, actually, we looked at a little bit after bishop c8. Daniel mentioned, I also saw maybe the best move is rook de1 now. And then white's king can go to d1, and okay, it's still not, obviously, maybe black doesn't need to check immediately. Maybe it's better to play c5 after rook he1. And maybe then he can play c4 and get rid of this pawn. It's quite complicated.
But it's a pretty interesting position, yeah?
But I think it was better because this queen d4 was a bit vague. I was kind of not liking things so much because it was a bit risky. Because c5 he played, I was thinking more about rook b4, but c5 was much better. Queen e3, rook e8, and actually now I'm quite lucky I can sort of survive. I think I have to play this king f1. And, I'm just lucky that I always have these knight a4 tricks, basically. Because, he could also play instead of bishop c8, maybe bishop f5, I think. Knight d2, d5. But again, I have this knight a4. And this knight a4 is similar, and this is always just saving my skin, some of this knight a4 idea, because otherwise the position could just be collapsing. But okay, bishop c8. So then at least I was able to get my king on a dark square. I was quite happy about that. Bishop b7, d5, knight d2, sorry, d5. Yeah, actually what we played was all quite logical. There are obviously other options. d4 is fine. I think queen f4. He could capture on e4. I think it's clear that, after d4, queen f4, he could capture on e4 here. I think maybe with the bishop, I thought it was maybe about equal. I would probably take on e4, and maybe with the rook, and then queen f5, something like this, maybe king g8. I thought it was a possible.
So you get your pawn back?
I get the pawn back, but maybe around equal. But his bishop a6 line was also good. Queen f5, bishop e2.
And now maybe the most interesting moment of the game.
Well, I gave the exchange. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it was a good idea. I think I overestimated it, but okay, we can see because it's, actually there's one detail I should mention after bishop a6 instead of queen f5. Just if I was to go like king h2 here, bishop e2, rook d1, because it looks quite logical. Then he has this knight h5, and it's very annoying because somehow this knight on d2 I just lose the knight on d2. So it's actually it's very strange, but this is very annoying. So I have to give the exchange. I think if I want to play like that. So in the game, queen f5, bishop e2, king h2, bishop takes d1 is logical. Rook takes d1.
But okay, you sacrificed the exchange.
King g8, yeah, this was the big mistake, king g8. Because queen a6, I was thinking during the game, but it was actually stronger than I realized because I was thinking it was coming along the third rank, but he also has this idea queen e2 in some positions.
So on the one hand, black can play like queen c5, queen d6.
Queen d6 is another idea, yeah.
And on the other hand, you can...
Yeah, but for instance, if I was to play e5 here, queen e2, it could be a problem. Well, it is a problem, yeah, because he's hitting the rook and the pawn on e5. I have some other ideas. I can play, for instance, knight c4 might be the best move, or knight takes c5. They're the two possibilities. And then knight takes e4, maybe, knight takes c5. I'm picking up some pawns here for the exchange. And okay, he still has some problems with the king. I think it's maybe about equal, but this queen a6 was just much better because king g8 is just... I think he just missed somehow this e5 and how strong it is. After king g8, I played e5 because knight d5, queen d7 just wins a piece, which is really
attacking both. Yeah,
bad news. I think it was. I was expecting him to play c4 here. Actually, use the pin. Knight takes c4, queen d5. I think this was better. Queen d5. I think knight c3. I was looking at queen back to c5 and knight e2. I was thinking. And I thought rook d8 was maybe best move for him. And it must be good for white, but it's still not. I'm still caught up in this pin. I only have one pawn. It must be good for white, but I wasn't so sure because he gets his queen back in the game a bit more.
Yeah. Still a good fight, yeah.
Yeah, but in the game somehow this just didn't. Knight h7, queen d7, because he can't take on e5 because of knight c4, and actually his queen is really running low on squares. Rook e6 was normal, knight c4. Okay, it's knight f8 I didn't see, but I guess I can take on e6 there anyway.
Knight f8 was just counter-attack.
Computer idea, but okay, maybe it was better try, but still doesn't look
you can-
very good.
can
The
take
queen
here,
takes e6
queen
and then queen a4, but still doesn't look.
Should be good for white.
Must
anyway.
be at least very good for white, yeah.
So he went away.
Yeah, queen b4, I took on c7. Okay, I mean, maybe I didn't do the best way, but I think it was good enough. He went knight g5, knight takes c5 I played. And actually he played this rook g6, which was actually a little bit clever, because now if I play something like f4, he could maybe get some tricks, and knight f3, check, knight f3 check takes, and then some queen c3, and actually he could get, okay, so I should not play f4, but otherwise I don't think it's so dangerous. I mean, I went h4 instead, because then it's not really dangerous with the pawn on f2.
And now you collected a few pawns, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I gave some checks and made a few moves to get close to time control. I mean, there's lots of ways to play here, but okay. What I did was okay, I think, to drive the queen back, and then I just took the material, quite greedy. But he doesn't really have any checks. Yeah, my knights are just covering the queen, and there's not so much he can really do. It's, I mean, white has a lot of material, and we just made a few more moves.
Okay, and the two knights are
so I mean, it was
much stronger than the rook.
Yeah, I mean, f3 just preventing rook g4, and okay, I'm coming knight d3 or knight e6 or knight d6 or rook h1. Just there's no activity for black. No, I mean, it was quite an interesting game, much more interesting than you normally have in this kind of structure because of the problem with the kings. Yeah. But yeah, I think there was just this one key moment that you know, he blundered this e5, queen a6. I think it would be, you know, much more interesting game, and maybe it would be draw or something. But that gave me the big advantage, or maybe even more after that. It was difficult for black.
Yeah, but still a very
quite
entertaining game.
Knights jumping. Yeah, no, my knights did well today. So.
Yeah. So I hope you had fun with playing this no castling chess. Was it your first game in?
Yeah, very much, because I got invited quite late and I was very busy with other things. I didn't really, and anyway, there aren't so many things that I'm really aware of. Okay, I was looking a little bit at the games that was played here between Vladimir and Vichy, but okay, I think they play on a higher level to me. I couldn't understand all the subtleties of all this stuff, so I don't know.
But we will see you against Vichy Anand.
Yeah,
and congrats
tomorrow, maybe. I think So yeah, we'll see.
So we're looking forward to that, and thanks a lot for your insights to your game.
All right, thank you. Thanks.